We shall now have a reading from the Book of Love. As the prophet with a P-H-E-T, Peter Gabriel said, it's full of facts and figures, and no one can lift the damn thing. But we will leave out those charts and figures and just read from the Book of Love. Book of Love, Chapter 13, the Wildflower Sermon. Love is a wildflower, grown strong and free, often without help. Each structure with an evolved and critical purpose. The roots dig deep to nourish and form connections. Through these deep connections, the nutrients for happiness are made available, collected, and stored. These nutrients raise the stalk as it grows to support the bud. But from these nutrients are birthed the blooming flower, the fruit of love that brings color and vibrancy to the otherwise stark and barren ground. The flowering of a bud is often inevitable after a plant. Once a plant has sated itself of love from the nutrients of its connective root network, it cannot help but to express itself through the blossoming of its hues. The only means by which to stop a bud from blooming would be to prune it before its time. True too can a bud wither before its time when nutrients or roots or support and stem are damaged, misplaced, or maladapted. But strong and deep roots hold fast and gather widely. Deeper roots draw nutrients and life-sustaining water from depths and distances further than the flower could view. Of course, flowers with deeper and wider roots can persist in conditions that flowers with shallower or more narrow roots would perish. Brother Id, how then can we grow our roots deeply, you might ask? The answer? Time. Time and proper nutrition. Without nourishment of the entire plant, the wildflower cannot bloom. Without time, a flower cannot acquire nourishment. The unfortunate truth is that a flowering plant needs some good fortune to find itself in the proper place and proper time to acquire the proper nutrition. Coincidences must be stacked upon coincidences, much like the fractal of Aegis. The timing of events is often critical. A plant which grows deeply in a garden of rich nutrients will be better equipped to deal with it. A dearth of fertile earth should one occur later than a plant which starts in infertile, salty sands that are fertilized at a later point. Do all flowers deserve nutrition? Well, here at the Cult of Aegis, it's not a matter of deserving nutrition. Nutrition here are the proto-loves that we have. And I don't think we deserve proto-loves so much as we have access to them all around us. All of us have the same access to these nutrients in one form or another. Some of them might be less available in the sense of what we can uptake as a flower. But I do believe that all of us should have equal opportunity to uptake nutrients. I don't think flowers deserve to have that, but we should have that, yeah. Now, hydration and nutrition must be made abundant at the start for there to be a better chance for the survival of the wildflower. Though a lack of these things early does not preclude the blossoming of a flower from an originally parched environment. Luck there is necessary too. Ironic, isn't it, that the blooming of a wildflower is so dependent on things external to the wildflower itself. Love, too, is often dependent upon external factors. In any case, the plant's efforts during times of abundance can see it through times of scarcity to overcome even the most parched and barren of gardens. It's often the case that wildflowers will bloom even without a human gardener. Love, too, can bloom without a conscious effort from a willful actor. But those wildflowers, which are nourished carefully by human hands and efforts, are most likely to bloom at all, and often the brightest at that. So too will love blossom more handsomely when it has been properly cared for with attentive and intentioned hands. Yes, perhaps intention is even more critical than attention. If a gardener does not intend to properly care for the needs of their flowers, but merely to bask in the boldness of their pretty hues, independent of personal efforts, then the gardener's attention is not on the needs of the flowers, but on the selfish desires and expectations of the gardener themselves. How can such a gardener expect a flower to blossom its brightest when they are thinking of the flower's bloom before thinking of feeding its roots? Such is not gardening at all. It is an infatuation with the fruits of gardening, a heretical infatuation. Love, too, cannot be found before the connection, as infatuation with the fruits of love is indeed heretical love. Even were the outcomes to appear the same, even if the actions taken would appear to be similar, they are made different and more meaningful through the intent of the gardener or your lover. That's right. Love, like a wildflower, can bloom in the unlikeliest of places. It is tenacious. It can live in the forests, as well as the cracked and dried asphalt of a city. The appearances of the garden means little in comparison to the fertility of the garden and the capability of the garden to support vast connective root networks. As for the nutrients, many will balk at the idea that love can grow from anything, but such is the case with wildflowers. There are no such things as blighted roots from blighted soils. All nutrients are nutrients before Aegis, for all is Aegis. A wildflower will bloom as beautifully from a loamy garden as it would from a corpse. So long as there is a connection and nutrient, and intent and effort, love will grow and blossom and add vibrancy to the world. Thus concludes the Wildflower Sermon.